just when it's time.
Okay.
Okay, and we're recording.
So should I just go, or are you going to start it?
Yes, so I'm Amy Rosar. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm your moderator. And I am going to just turn it over to our presenters. And they will introduce themselves, although I know you probably saw the description in your agenda. With no further ado, I will keep an eye on the chat and give them a heads up if there's anything that's timely, and the other questions will hold until you're ready to pause. Enjoy.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Gale's presentation. As you can see on the screen, we're calling it Fresh, Fast, Innovative Digital Tools for Career Preparation. And as we're all learning this digital platform, I'm just going to barrel through and be talking. The chat is a great place to ask questions. I'll have a little time at the end for questions. But let me first just introduce myself. My name is Dennis Kelsch. I'm the K-12 education consultant with Gale. Here's my contact information if you want to write it down, but you'll be able to come back, watch this again if you want to get the contact information, and then I'll repost this, as well as some of my colleagues who are on the call with us today. Their contact information will be at the end, so there'll be plenty chance for you to write that down. So let's get started. First of all, I want to introduce who Gale is and what Gale does. Back, 20 years ago, we were a publisher, and you found most of our reference books in the library. As digital processes came about, Gale was a leader and a pioneer in the field where we put most of our material online. As you can see in these little boxes off the list, this is just a screenshot of our website. So we deal with academic institutions, public libraries, K-12 libraries, as well as additional classroom material. And I just wanted to kind of let you see that that's a big overview of what Gale does. We're talking about content, nonfiction reference material that is available in all of these environments. And so starting off is why do digital for CTE? CTE is so unique in the education environment, but why would a CTE program want to do it? So I just have a few points that I want to make. One is that it's educationally sound. Many times if you just send students or even teachers, say, go get your information that you're going to use off the internet, and people Google, there's lots of variety of information that you can get that way. And it's not always educationally sound, not always appropriate for K-12 education. So by utilizing Gale instead, you're kind of putting up a firewall from inappropriate content to making the content that you're utilizing appropriate. Gale has search capabilities just like Google. In fact, a phrase I always use with my partners is Gale before Google in the K-12 environment. You want to make sure that they understand this is where they go to get information that they want to use in the classrooms. And then the third reason is because Gale's material plugs directly into your workflow in the classroom, or even as an administrator, as a counselor. So if you're using, for example, Google Drive, Google Classroom, Microsoft OneDrive, if your schools utilize the learning management systems, Schoology or Canvas, which are the top two most popular, our materials integrate really nicely with those. So you don't have to go out to a third party. You don't have to learn a new program. It all integrates with what you're already using. And so you minimize the training and additional learning that's required when you adopt a system. So just a quick quote from Director of Curriculum, emphasizing that Gale ebooks can fill a gap that you have in your programs. especially now that COVID is among us, and we have blended learning, we have some of the classes in person and offsite happening at the same time. You need materials that both of those can access at the same time. Again, part of a background material I want you to understand is we're already in your school probably. Gale is probably already in many of the schools that are listening. So you may not know it, and they may not have material for CTE, but your library, your professional development, other areas are utilizing Gale material already. So it's a process or a program that is easily adapted to the CTE program because it's already there. Another important point to make is if you do have students who are then going to go on to academic institutions, whether that be higher ed or even at a tech school, those schools are using Gale material. So you can consider it the 21st century learning of preparing students for college or for a tech school, because they're going to utilize our material in those schools. And so you're only doing them a favor by utilizing them in the K-12 environment. So Gale speaks to all various people who might be utilizing, but I want to specifically up in the yellow focus on the CTE director. CTE director is trying to make sure that your teachers are well supported, but you also don't want to throw too many tools at them. So we are supportive of what you're already doing and helping you, because especially in the CTE frame, there's not always a textbook for the material that you want to provide to your students. So you got to find that supplementary material in other places, and that's where Gale can step in. Or you may have a textbook, but there's this one chapter or this one element that it's not really fulfilling the way you want to, or it doesn't meet those standards. Gale can fill those gaps for you and help you pull in additional material, whether it be for homework or in class discussion. But Gale can fill those gaps where otherwise you would be relying on Google or for example. Just a quick slide. I'm going to go through all of this, but one of we worked with with 21st century learning and excuse me, I just had a brain pause or whatever you call it. When schools utilize our material, it becomes sticky. In other words, this is a survey that was done. When they utilize our material, they realize that it's helping them instead of just giving them one more thing to do. So teachers and students, when we've done surveys, we find out that they want to reutilize our material next year. So it gets sticky once teachers are utilizing this. And I just want to provide you an example of the types of things that we can do. So I took the Arizona Employability Skills Standards and I created a library. And we can do that for your state. I realize not everybody here is from Arizona. We have various states in the region, but this is an example of what I can do. So for example, here's two standards: professionalism and thinking and innovation for career readiness that you want your students, that the states or NACTE or ACTE want your students to understand. And I've created a collection for each of those standards. So for down in professionalism, for example, students need to learn how to conduct themselves, how to have a work-life balance, all of those things that actually many of us can still learn and do better at. So I created a collection that would allow those things. And these aren't the type of books, I just want to emphasize that these aren't the type of books that you're going to adopt and read cover to cover. When you're working on these standards, say, for example, you want to learn how to handle time better. So you can actually do a search on time management. It will search through all of these books and find those chapters that are relevant to that search that you've done. So probably 3 or 4 of those books will have time management chapters. And then you can read through those, assign them very quickly out, read as a class all together at the same time, and utilize these in your lessons. Okay? So that's just a quick example I wanted to show you. This is getting into what it looks like on a very broad level. I'm going to get into it a little bit deeper later, but I just wanted you to see for CTE, what I've done is over here on the left-hand side, you see about the first 5 shelves, I mean, the first 9 shelves or whatever, we call soft skills. So those are the career exploration, being ready in your career, college readiness, if that's appropriate. Those sorts of things are soft skills, will be implemented in all of your classes. And so we've created collections for those. And then if you'll notice at the top left corner, it's fully searchable. So even though we have these shelves, it's not expected that you're going to dive through and read through all of those books to find what you want. Again, you just search up in that top left, time management or girls in technology, and then you'll find chapters from the books in your collection that will help you, and it will take you just seconds rather than hours to find material that is appropriate. And another thing I want to emphasize that is very unusual from other companies that do something very similar is that all of Gale's material is multiple and simultaneous accessible. In other words, you can have the whole class working on the same chapter of the same day at the same time. Your entire school, your entire district can be working on the same page of the same material at the same time. So there's no checkout, there's no extra costs involved with having everybody work on this. It's all multiple and simultaneous accessible. And then on the bottom left is where we've created shelves for the career clusters. So if you at your high school only have the health or business management, you can just adopt those collections or even pick from those collections for the material that's appropriate to you. So it's fully customizable. So now we're going to get to a real life example, and I've invited Marilyn and Liz from Huntington Beach Union High School District to speak to us for a second to show how they did this. And before I turn the time over to her, I want you to just notice on the far right, on the bottom right corner actually, they've done a more in-depth presentation on this. And so here is a link for you to go out and get that more in-depth explanation of what they did and why they did it at their school district. So I'm going to go ahead and mute myself and turn the time over to Marilyn and Liz.
Thank you. Liz, you want to start?
This is really cool to be able to be a part of this. And the reason I say that is because I'm a district librarian. And Marilyn and I created a CTE experience combining things from the library and from CTE. So Marilyn is our facilitator for CTE in our district. And one of the things that I did was we were trying to get Gale databases into our district because we are one of the few who didn't have that in our area. And as we were going through, I was looking at all of these ebooks and I was like, Marilyn, hey, did you know that this is here? I think she had come in late from like an industry event. And I was like, hey, you should ask about this. And then all of a sudden it took off into something that's been really amazing.
Yeah, I was so excited. Well, first of all, I was excited because someone wanted to work with our career technical education program. Usually kind of work, on the side burner. So I was super excited that Liz wanted to come help me. And then when she shared the book information, like what I learned is those CTE books, you can create, they have strands. And so you can purchase strands of these different books and you own the books. So once you purchase them, they're yours, because this is an awesome thing, as most of my CTE teachers ask for supplemental books like every single year, and it gets super, super expensive. And if you can own like a plethora, we have 42 pathways, this is the way to go. And like you said, all the students can access it at the same time, which is super cool. And then you can also integrate all of these books in the Canvas learning management system. So Liz created, I don't know if you want to explain what you did in Canvas, Liz, how you created a library section.
Yeah, so on our library website, we actually have we have something that says CTE ebooks. So then that way it's in a central place and it's not another place that everybody has to go. Our books are in one location and that makes it easier for access, because the easier the access, the more likely you are going to have people to use them and use them in a variety of ways.
So super cool. So I thought these books were amazing. And I'm like, how are we going to get these books into the hands of our students? So I had to figure out a way to get our teachers excited. And so what I did was I sent out a survey about the different strands and explained, okay, how would you guys feel if we adopted these different courses? I shared pricing and information with our teachers. And not everyone had decided to purchase the books. But what I did was I kind of was super transparent with our teachers, and I showed them, okay, these are the different sites that want the books, and these are the different pathways and strands that we're going to be purchasing. So then all of a sudden it was kind of funny. The other sites and pathways that didn't want the books all of a sudden wanted the books. So we ended up buying books for the entire district and covering all of our pathways, which was super cool. So once we got the books, we needed to have some training. So Liz, thank goodness, my partner in crime, created this really cool Canvas course. Do you want to talk about the Canvas course you made, Liz? Super
Yeah.
awesome.
Well, what I did was I started to teach teachers about research, because I think that's the thing that is missing in a lot of courses, not just CTE, but across the board. We're supposed to be reading and writing and researching across the curriculum. And this gave us the opportunity and an ease of integration into making it really easy to do those research type things. But it doesn't have to be a research paper. So we broke it down into a step-by-step usage so that students could get used to researching in a CTE manner, but also our CTE teachers could get used to researching, because it's not the easiest thing and it's not as intuitive as we all think. So I created a Canvas module that they were able to make a copy of, and then they were able to just put their own spin on it, and just, I think they spent about 10-15 minutes like changing a couple words here and there, and they had a research unit that they could give their students and ready to go curriculum.
And Liz made it fun. Like, I don't know, there's not a lot of people that can make research fun, but Liz honestly accomplished that. Our teachers were so excited. She broke the whole thing down. So teachers weren't, a lot of times teachers are scared of teaching research, but she made us CTE teachers feel super supported. Like, you know, we're important too. And we're helping the content areas academically. So now we're helping support them. So it was super exciting. And we were hoping to have a second session. We had a training, wanted to do another one, but then COVID hit. So we'll hopefully get to do one in the future soon.
And all of that information and all of those examples and things like that are in our presentation link, so you can actually find how I broke it down. If you wanted to see the presentation from the day of the training, that's there as well. Yeah, thank you for circling that. So weird to see it on the other side. I do it for people, to see somebody else do it. So that's really what we did. And Marilyn did such a good job of advertising this too, because it was just such a cool experience. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah, super fun. And like Liz was saying, we did this presentation, and it's generally, we spend at least an hour talking about it, how we do everything. But if you really go look at that presentation, you can kind of see what we did. And you can also email us if you have any questions.
Marilyn and Liz, I want to say thank you. Thanks for that explanation. Any participants who would like to ask Marilyn and Liz any questions, go ahead and put it in the chat. And when I'm done here in another couple of minutes, we'll all three of us will answer any chat questions that you have that you'd like. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. What I want to do from here, we've kind of been talking conceptually, and I showed you the bookshelves, but I kind of want to get in and show you how one would use this. I really love what Liz and Marilyn said. But I also, I want to make sure we don't get frightened. I know sometimes CTE people can sometimes hear the word research and think, I don't do research. I don't need that material. And so research is really a librarian terminology for finding information. And there's lots of CTE information finding that needs to be done in almost all of the classes. So you may not always call it research, but you're still researching. And so I love my librarians for that. So for example, I just want to show you a few of the collections that we've created and just give you some book covers so you can see the depth and the breadth that's in there. So for example, our employability skills. You don't have to buy these as collections. You can pick and choose the books that you want. They're fully customizable. And again, multiple and simultaneous access, but you can kind of see the breadth of the employability skills material in there. We also have, for those of you who are directors who have material for, you need to find material for your lower grades. I know a lot of states are developing CTE standards for elementary schools. So there are collections you can also get for the elementary schools. And at that level, most of the standards have to do with exploring careers and exploring things that you might be interested in one day. So for, again, a student who wants, is interested in something, they can just type in nurse. The books that reference nursing would come up. It's so easy for even elementary school kids to do. We have a middle school is very similar. The standards usually have to do with career exploration. So we have a little bit higher level of books where those students can also search for careers. These books, most of them are, explain salary, explain education requirements, they explain what you'd be doing day to day and those sorts of things. So they're really good for those career readiness type of material. I've created for one of my customers, actually, Amy might be familiar with in Las Vegas, a financial literacy collection, because some states really emphasize that in their state standards for career readiness. So there's plenty of material for students to understand. And I would imagine if any of the collections are used throughout the whole school, this would be one where any of the students at school in many of the classes could use this material for financial literacy, and other teachers as well. Something else very dear to my heart is I found a couple of years ago when I went to my first ACTE conference that school counselors are a big part of the CTE program. And so we also have a collection. We call it Teen Mental Health, or it's nicknamed Cameron's Collection, which references the Cameron Gallagher Foundation, which a part of the proceeds from this go to a foundation on teen mental health. So this is a collection. Again, students, many districts and schools have programs that address social emotional learning, but a couple of things is, one, when those programs happen, that's not always the moment that the students experience emotional distress, or 24/7, these things are available. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, when a student is struggling and they remember that they have this bookshelf that they can address, they can just type in, as you can see, some of the topics, I'm depressed, and then they get resources and information for them, including hotlines. So it's one of those things that kind of fill the gaps of social emotional learning at your schools, where you're doing great things on campus. And this can kind of fill the gaps where some students aren't being reached. They can do this anonymously, which is really important for these sorts of topics. They need to be able to find information without having to go to a library or to go up to the teacher and ask for help. Some schools have been really effective with this collection of actually, we've helped them create a flyer that they've actually put on bathroom stalls. And so with a QR code down at the bottom, you're not ready to talk, here's some information for you. They can pull out their phone and directly have access to the collection on their phones. And again, it's private, it's anonymous, and then get help right away. Something that I've also found with some of the CTE directors that I've worked with is a lot of CTE teachers are brand new. They didn't come through the education programs at the colleges. They've been in the field, and then they've decided to dedicate some time to teaching. A lot of them could use some professional development, and that's what we have a whole, actually a huge library of some of the latest professional development ebooks. And again, very similar to the books that we talked about at the student level, these aren't necessarily books that a student teacher is going to sit down and read cover to cover, but maybe they're having classroom management issues, and they can just type in classroom management, and they'll get chapters from the books in your collection that give them ideas of things that they can do. And as you can kind of see, the distance learning playbook up the top left is a really hot ebook right now, as well as the culturally responsive teaching and the brain. Those are two ebooks that are really hot in professional development programs right now. And whatever the buzzwords or the things that you want your teachers to understand, we can find and create a collection for you in the professional development realm. So now let me dive in a little bit and show you how you use this. So most important, I'm going to emphasize this over and over again, is the best way to use this is to use our search function, just like you would in a Google search. Up at the top left, just to be timely, I've used coronavirus as my search. Let's say we're in the health science program, and you're going to have an updated discussion on the coronavirus. So I'm going to search on that, and it's going to search all of those books in my collection for information on coronavirus. And here's what a search result would look like. You can kind of see you have your chapters from various books, and you'll just scroll through, see if the topic that you're looking for. You can further filter and sort your results by publication date. So maybe you're looking for something newer, and content level. This is really important for differentiation. So you may have some students at lower reading levels. Here's where you can find information at their reading level, as at the same time you're finding information for those higher level students, and assign them both at the very same time and just take minutes. Definitely the benefit over just searching for something in Google. Here in the middle, you can kind of see if you need to narrow your topic down, you can search within that result. And then we have this really cool visual search result where you can get results visually. So I did the coronavirus search, and then if you look at that, you can kind of see it gives you a tile. These are all of the topics that came up under my coronavirus search result. So I'm thinking I want to talk about the CDC. And so when I click on that, I get this list of books off to the right, and then I just have to click in and I'll have access to that chapter. So it's a really quick way to visually narrow down your search results. It's just another way. So I've clicked into a chapter, and now I changed topics just so you don't think I'm crazy and this is related to coronavirus. I just wanted to show you a variety of topics. So I found a chapter on microeconomics, and I just want to show you what tools are available. I'm going to start up here in the top right. So teacher finds this and says, yep, this is the chapter I want to discuss in class, or I want to assign this as homework. They click directly into Google Classroom, and it takes about 2 or 3 clicks to get this assignment in your Google Classroom. It's that easy. And that's what I'm talking about when I say it integrates with your current workflow. Gives you several other ideas of related topics for you or the students to go out and find more information. Going clockwise over here to the left, when you have needs in class, for example, we have a read speaker where students can read along but also have it spoken as they're reading along, as well as a translation function for those students who might need a little bit help in having this translated in their foreign language. There's up to 32 different languages that you can translate this into. And then further, if you love this chapter and you think, I want this book, I wanted to search more in this book, there's the table of contents up here at the top to navigate throughout the book that you're looking at. Here's another chapter of a book. I just wanted to further emphasize there are direct links into Google Drive. So a student or you even have this article and you want to save it for later, you don't always have to come back into Gale. You can save these articles onto your Google Drive or your Microsoft OneDrive. Or another way to share this is to just come up here and get the link. And then you get a permanent URL. You can copy and paste that and put it into an email. You can email it to a colleague. You can put it into your syllabus. There's a variety of things where you can put that link that will take you directly back to this chapter of this book. Something else is cool with the utilization of this, and you can highlight and take notes within the document. And then when you go to save them into Google Drive, it will save those highlights and those notes for you for later usage. And that goes for students or teachers, whoever is utilizing this. So that's just a quick overview of what it looks like inside and how there's some useful tools. I'm kind of narrowing down here up to the end, but I also want to show you one other thing. This is just one page really quickly, because some of you may be saying, yeah, but I want something that's updated as far as career exploration, or some of my programs are taking tests and we would like some practice tests. Gale has a database. It's called Testing and Education Reference Center by Peterson's. Some of you may be familiar with Peterson's if you're taking the SAT or the ACT. You go into the library and those course books, those big, thick, you want to take a practice test, those are usually published by Peterson. So we partner with them with this database. And so as you can kind of see, for example, if you want to take a career assessment, or you want help in writing a resume, or you just want to do some more career search, this is what the database is here for. And then in the college prep or the high school, there are AP tests, there are SAT, ACT practice tests. There's the AccuPlacer. Even students who are going on to a community college or a tech college, many times they use the AccuPlacer test to put them into the right program. So here are some practice tests, as well as it includes the test, the course preparation material, and the test preparation books. This that I'm showing you right now is not like the ebooks. The ebooks you purchase, you buy them, you own them, and you have a one-time cost and you're done. With this particular database, it's a database. In other words, you're paying an amount every year. So just notice that that's different, but I wanted to show you that that's here because it is applicable to CTE programs, just to know that this is available. All right, so let's summarize a little bit. I just want to make sure I hit all of my points, and then now's a good time to be entering questions into the chat if you have any. So first of all, Gale saves teachers time. It's estimated that teachers are spending 2 to 3 hours a week on the internet searching for material to use in their lessons. So Gale can cut that down extremely to where they can find and utilize this information and put it into their lessons immediately. Again, it's multiple simultaneous, any device. It's a purchase model, and I'm going back to the ebooks that we've showed you initially. You buy it, you own it. Many people want to include either a yearly or every other year some amount in their budget to update it, because there's always new books coming out, always topics. So, but you never need to go back and pay for something you already have. It's just like a print book. You buy it, it's yours. We can customize these to any of your state standards or any of your district standards for that matter. If you provide them with us, we can create these shelves so that they best fit you for any career cluster. The material is relevant, updated, credible, and again, can be used within your LMS that you use right now. So you don't have to learn this new program. It'll be easy for you to use. If you know how to do a Google search, you know how to use Gale. And again, it supplements your textbook where no textbook, or can be used as a textbook where no textbook exists. And it's a great way to utilize the soft skills that almost every teacher in the CT programs should be weaving throughout their lessons. And you can utilize this to go ahead and do that. So now's the time. Let's look back at the chat to see if there are any questions. Okay, so I see Tilly asked, is it searchable by standard? The books in and of themselves are not, you would need us to set it up to the bookshelves that I showed you. Those have been aligned to the standard. So you have to let us know up front when you're getting these books, if that's how you want it, we can set it up that way for you. Any other questions? I'm going to leave it here on this this screen because I want you to have our contact information. Mine is at the top left, and you can kind of see I kind of work with 3 or 4 states: Nevada, Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and down at the bottom of California, I work with San Diego. So reach out to me. Colleen Dawson would be the person if you're in the rest of Southern California. And then Amanda King for Northern California. We have Caitlin Bird, who's in Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Hawaii, and Alaska. And Adam Willis is your person to speak to in Colorado, Kansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma. Don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us and we can get you to the right person, or you can always ask any of us any questions. I won't mind someone from Kansas, for example, reaching out with a question. I'd be happy to help you. So don't worry so much about that. You have Marilyn and Liz's link to their presentation. Again, this will be recorded so you can go back and find their information. I'm at the end. Are there any other questions that we need to address before letting everybody go? Any feedback?
I also just wanted to mention that we'll be in our booth today.
Thank you.
From 2:20 to 3 o'clock. So if you come up with some questions and you want to pop into the booth and chat with us, you can come and ask us questions then too.
Thank you for that reminder, Colleen. Absolutely.
And Liz just dropped their presentation link in the chat as well.
Excellent. All right, everybody. Have a great conference. Enjoy, and I hope we get to hear from you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Bye.
Hey, Dennis. Great
Yes.
job. Do you guys need anything from me as the moderator?
I don't think so.
All right.
How does the link to the presentation work and this recording?
So because someone pushed record before I did, so whoever gets the email that has it, if you could forward it to Chris Whitney, who's he's our executive director for running the actual sessions, then we'll be able to put it on the website for people to access after the fact.
Okay, I don't know who has that control to be able to do that. Can anybody do that?
I don't know who did it, but it wasn't me because I went to push record and it was already recording. So I don't know if one of your co-hosts did it.
Okay, that's fine. I'll reach out to them and see if anybody gets it.
I wonder, see, it's going to let me, well, will it let me? It might let me stop it. I'm going to stop it. It's saying to stop cloud recording. I have no idea.